How to be amazingly super creative. Let's talk about that. Hey guys, and welcome back to Tipharot, and in this video I want to talk about how you can become super creative today. So we have so many ideas and things that go through our head all of the time, and there's lots of things that we want to actually get done, but a lot of the time we just can't find inspiration. You know, that divine inspiration where you kind of get that eureka moment and you suddenly know what you want to write? Well, it doesn't come that often, and often we're stuck waiting for it to happen, and yet it's not happening at all. So how can we encourage it? How can we actually make it happen rather than just waiting around for that inspiration to hit us? Well, honestly, it's easier than you might think. It is really quite easy, but it's just something that we don't think to do. So, you know, it's not your fault that you haven't thought to do this. It's simple, and now you know, and you're going to be able to do it. So all you have to do is get your implement of choice. If you're a graphic designer, open Photoshop. If you're a painter, get your paintbrush and your paints. If you're a writer, open up Word and start typing away. Basically, you just have to start the process, and you can warm up. Basically, you can warm up. You don't have to actually start writing the book that you want to write. Just write anything. Write about the weather. Write about your day today. And something weird happens. It's like those places of creativity are there in our brain, but they kind of switch off when they're not being used. It's like, oh no, we need to preserve battery life. We can't use all that creative energy. And by actually activating them, it's like, oh, something's going on here. I need to switch back on. So you get the idea. By starting to use that, you basically bring that creative juice to the surface. And once you've warmed up a little bit, that's when you start actually working on it. Now, you don't have to feel like you've got a surging river of creativity coming through you right at the minute. As long as you've warmed up enough that you feel comfortable, writing a little bit, drawing a little bit, whatever, now's the time to actually start on the project. You don't have to wait for the full inspiration. You have to start fairly immediately after warming up. And what you do is you think, okay, what's the simplest part that I can do right now without any preparation? So, for example, how can I write the introduction to my book? Something simple to start the book off with. And start to write that. Worst case, if it turns out that you simply don't have any creativity in you today, then you can always scrap it afterwards. So it's better to start now than to just sit around idle and not get anything done. So now that you started that, you're going to find something really crazy and awesome. And that's that once you actually start, suddenly it's like you completely switch on that creative side of your brain, and it just comes and comes and comes. Now, I'm going to share a personal experience of this of mine recently. Well, in fact, I'm going to share a few. Earlier this year, or in fact, no, not this year, last year, in 2015, I decided I wanted to write a book. In fact, I decided this, when I was a little kid. I wanted to write a book at some point in my life. It was one of my big dreams. It was honestly one of my biggest dreams. I had all these other big dreams and stuff, and I still do, but one of the biggest of them all was something as simple as writing one book. It didn't have to be a good book or anything like that. It just had to be that I completed one book. And this might seem like a small task for anyone who's already done this, or it might seem like a big task for anyone who's never attempted it. But the fact is, I basically struggled to write anything over one page, ever. I was a good writer, but I couldn't write long things. I would write one page and I would just lose inspiration. I couldn't keep writing because I would, take a break, and then when I'd come back to it, I just couldn't kind of get off on that bit. But at this point, I saw some motivational video somewhere, and the person mentioned the whole starting now thing that I keep advising you guys. And they said, you have to start now and do something terribly, write a really crappy version of your book before you can eventually go off to write a good one later on. And this really struck me as, oh wow, maybe I will never write a good book unless I try and write one badly now. So I said, screw it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to start writing. And I started writing this book, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and about 3 weeks later, I had finished an entire book. Within 3 weeks. Just because I started, and I didn't even have the ideas in my head for what I was going to write about. I knew the subject, I didn't know what I was actually going to put in it. But I started writing and it just came to me. It's like there's this source, this kind of fountain of inspiration that has an infinite potential, infinite ideas, and creates all these amazing things that we have in the world today. And it's there beneath the surface. We all have access to it. But you have to actually start, dipping your toes in the water, or it's not going to show up. Once you dip your toes in, suddenly you can see the whole fountain and all of that information, all that creativity is there. So there, I wrote a book, and honestly, I'll be quite honest, it wasn't the greatest book. I wrote about 85 pages or something like that, which was a decent length for the subject it was covering. But the actual material, it was really quite scatterbrained. I was just kind of rushing to get it finished. I have that experience, and now I know that I can write a full-length book in 3 weeks. How do you think that improved my dream? Instead of having this dream of, I'll write one book ever, I've now completed that dream. So I can now replace it with something bigger and more sizable and more useful. Now I want to write lots of books. I want to make lots of teaching information for you guys and all of that. And so then I did. I wrote my first ebook, which is the one that I sell on my channel, which I'll put a link to up there, the 4 steps to manifesting anything, which is basically a 4-step method that I developed where I'd looked at things like visualization and that, and I'd seen that it really does help you manifest things in your life. But I noticed that there were certain problems with it. One of them is lust for results, which is the idea that when you really, really badly want something and can't stop thinking about it, no matter what methods you seem to do to, you know, get your mind in order, it's like you can't stop thinking about it and worrying about it, so you don't get it. And I found certain methods to get around this, and I found a kind of foolproof method that works for me when I want to manifest something in my life. And so I thought, great, I'll compile this into a book. I've already written a book before, so I'll just write a short ebook that summarises the method and how to do it and teaches people how to do it, and then I can share it with people and they can start manifesting things. So I did that, and you know, I completed the book, and now I've got that ebook and you guys are able to enjoy that. So that came of the fact that I started that creative process on that first book originally, and because of that the fountain just kept flowing. And now, even better, is I've actually started working on another book, which I started 2 days ago. I started working on another ebook, and this one is all about financial things, getting the mental side, you know, the mental side of your finances in order, so that you can kind of attract more wealth and, you know, improve your conditions in that sense of things. Because that was something that I struggled with a lot in the past, and I think people who are in a dire situation and need to get out of that kind of need some good advice from someone who's been there and done that. And so, you know, I thought I'd write a book about that. And when I started, you know, I had a rough outline of everything I wanted to do, but I wasn't in that creative zone. But I just started writing the introduction to the book, and bam, I've currently written pretty much the first 2 chapters. I've written 1 and 90% of the 2nd chapter, and it's going really well so far. I'm getting new ideas as well for the book, things I haven't even tried, things that are even better than some of the stuff I've been doing that now I'm learning because of the creative process, because that's how it is. You start moving that ball and momentum builds up creatively, and you start getting all these amazing ideas, things that you could never even consider thinking of, and yet suddenly they're there in your head just like that. That's why so many people are even able to, you know, they can barely think of a story themselves, but when they start writing a storybook, they come up with these amazing fantasies, you know, stuff like Lord of the Rings, stuff like Harry Potter, all of these things that have become so famous. A lot of the times these people, if they were just sitting around imagining things in their head, it was never that clear, that intense. So yeah, to start the creative process, you have to get the ball rolling and start, you know, warming up and then doing the actual thing. Start on it a bit, and if it goes badly you can always delete that bit that you started with, but because you get the ball rolling, you'll build momentum and you'll become more creative. You will become super amazingly creative. So yes, that's been a bit of a video about how you can be more creative. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys do something creative today, because the world needs more creators. There's so many consumers, we're all consuming this, consuming that, but what about all the creations? We need more cool stuff in the world, we need more awesome ideas, more great books, more amazing movies. Create something cool today, please. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe up there, because you've got regular videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday, and occasionally some others. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up. And if you have any comments or questions, or want to share something creative that you're working on at the minute, share that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear some of your cool creative ideas and what you do to be a creator. If you want to keep watching, check out the video on screen. And that's been all for this video. Take care, guys.